And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. DeLeone and Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. And today we are going to be sharing our predictions for the 2024, I guess, technically, is it 2025? I don't freaking know anymore. The college football playoff for this upcoming season, as well as our picks for the NFC and AFC in the NFL, who we think is going to reach and win the NFC and AFC championships. Betting picks for those. Sean, before we get into that, can you just share with our listeners a quick word from our friends over at BetOnline?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout. If you were betting on Noah Lyles to back his talk up and then win the men's 100-meter, that's crazy. You should have done it at BetOnline. But that was a crazy race to see that I watched today. I'm not sure if you did. All of the instigating he did before the Olympics was crazy, where he was kind of discounting the NBA teams and said, you're not world champs. You don't compete with the rest of the world. And then he goes out and does that. Amazing sport, amazing theater today. Regardless, if you're going to do some sports wagering, do it at BetOnline. Has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads. While the games are being played, I like sniping lines. I had a bloodbath at Yankee Stadium with Joe. It's fine. We were close.
I was close.
We were close, and that's all that matters. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts here.
Thank you, Sean. So as I said, we're going to be talking about our bracket predictions. And if you're wondering why the hell are we talking NFL, in the next, 2 weeks, the goal is to start going live. The schedule in which we're going live, we're going to announce really soon. But we want to talk all football. We don't want to just stay as narrowcasting of college football. We're still going to talk FCS the way that we were. But as we do these live shows, these hour or so long shows that we'll be doing 3 times a week, we want to dive into talking about more than just CFB. So today is kind of a little bit of us dipping our toe before we make that transition. All right, playoff bracket. So everybody who now knows, the playoff bracket for college football is completely different. 12 teams. We got to pay attention to how the seeding works. And I'm sure that there's a slight possibility of some sort of just some random detail that we're missing that might disrupt if we're correctly doing this or not. I think we did it correctly. I think that we did, but I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to jump in and say, oh, well, you forgot. Well, there's this one exception in this circumstance where this team needs to be placed here.
We tried to follow the rules the best we could. That's what we're doing. I feel like a coach. I feel like an AD. We're trying to follow the rules. You're making up new rules. We're giving it a shot. So at least the 12s to 1s are hashed out.
We're going to take turns here reading through our seeding and then our projection on how we think this is going to play out. My 1 through 12. Number 1, Georgia. No debate there. What are you shaking your head for?
I don't know. Typically, you start from 12 to 1, but that's fine. You can go 1 to 12.
Oh, God forbid I didn't adhere to
Why don't you adhere to some radio suspense?
Screw you.
Yeah.
Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Miami. Number 4, Utah. Those are each conference winners. 5, Notre Dame. 6, Texas. 7, Oregon. 8, Ole Miss. 9, LSU. 10, Tennessee. 11, Florida State. And 12, Boise State. Just a couple of quick thoughts there. I think that, first of all, don't think that there's going to be a second Big 12 team. I think that Florida State ekes their way in as that second ACC team. And then outside of that, they're not going to have anybody else good enough to be in that playoff field. The other ones that I think that maybe could cause a little bit of debate is, can Notre Dame actually be as good as the 5 seed? Their schedule is easy enough as I have highlighted. And then I pulled the pretty easy hack move of going heavy on SEC. I think in the first ever playoff, as we saw last year, they're going to find ways to get SEC teams in this damn thing. If there's ways to get, I think I have 5, they have 4 or 5. I have 1, 2, 3. No, I have 4 SEC teams. They're going to find ways to get 4 in here, and I think that is a very, very likely outcome.
You have 5 SEC teams: Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia.
Oh, I forgot Texas. So I have 5 in there.
I think you're right on that. I think that the new 12-team playoff and all the fighting this offseason and all the new rules and the 7-5 or the 7-4 now, it all changed. You could I as much as I wanted to put 2 G5 teams in it, I just couldn't because I knew it just
Excuse
couldn't
me?
happen. I just knew it couldn't happen.
Excuse me?
No.
No. We're not gonna move. What? You were gonna put 2 G5? Are you're just dicking around when you're
Why
saying
not?
that?
You don't know how good DeLeone can be. Regardless, my 12-1. If you,
You
don't
want crack?
mind, if you don't mind, my 12-1. You see how I was nice and quiet during your time, and now it's gonna be my time, and you're gonna yell.
But I didn't say some
between
crazy shit
everyone.
like that. I didn't say some crazy shit like, oh, if I could have found a way to put 2 G5 teams in there, I would have. That's an insane thing to say and then just move past.
I think some teams are gonna be bad this year. Regardless, can I give my 12-1?
I'm kind of reluctant to allow you.
12. You going with the 12 also. Shocking. 12, Boise State.
Worrying about the wrong things.
11, Notre Dame. 10, Michigan. 9, Ole Miss. 8, Clemson. 7, Alabama. 6, Oregon. 5, Texas. Utah is at 4. Miami's at 3. Ohio State 2. Georgia number 1. So we have the same, I guess, conference winners for the top 4. And then some of the stuff in the middle is a little debatable. I had to include a certain team because if I didn't, it would have been someone would have thrown a fit.
Well, you would have been implying that they would have had a complete self-destruction. You think that the committee, if they're 11-1, that they're not going to say to themselves, it would probably be good for the first ever playoff with the leniency of the seeding for Notre Dame not to get in, even at 10-2.
I had to make the smart, corrupt decision to include Notre Dame. They will be barely better than Mizzou as a team on the field, but they work better for the playoffs still because they do have that name brand, and they had a bad movie made about them, a couple years ago.
You think that their name brand recognition, all of it stems from Rudy?
A good amount of it.
Oh my God! You just. It's deliberate at this point. It's deliberate at this point.
For a bunch of hack fans. Regardless, they do have an easy schedule, and they did get to choose it, so they're in. Notre Dame is in. I can't believe we're fighting about Notre Dame when I still included them in the playoff.
The movie because it was a nationally recognized brand. The movie didn't make them a nationally recognized brand. They made the movie because it's the only one of the few college teams that you could do that for.
It's one of the 5 movies that you've ever seen, and now you're defending it.
It's a great movie. I used to be able to quote it. I haven't watched it in a while, though. We both have Boise State in there as the G5 team. You don't think that Liberty is going to get in?
No, Liberty doesn't have the star power that Boise State does. Ashton Jeanty is phenomenal. I am very, very excited to see if Malachi Nelson wins the starting job, to see what he does. Additionally, why I like Nelson at Boise State, he didn't go from USC to another drama program. I think the quote from his family was, "We wanted to make the best move for Malachi on the field," and Boise State provided that for him.
Yeah.
I like it. I have some residual pain from Dirk Cutter in my life.
That's a deep pull.
But I think he can do the job for Boise State. Maybe not the Atlanta Falcons, but I think they take it in the G5 for sure. Who did you have? I like that you had Miami win in the ACC. Did you finally back off that FSU take?
What do you mean? What?
I thought you thought FSU
No.
was going to be strong again this year.
No, my take's been Miami's going to win the conference. It's been that the whole offseason. Pull any quote from any radio spot that I've done. I've said Miami every single time.
You had Florida State's over in our ACC win predictions.
Yeah, because their win total number was not a difficult one for them to reach. I think it was like 9.5. I forget what it was off the top of my head, but it's overcomable for them to hit their win total. But no, I think Miami is going to go on a total massive run here. Their schedule is super winnable. It's easy for them to go 11-1, and I think that if it's 11-1 versus 11-1 in a repeat matchup between these two in the ACC championship game, and it's a close game, I think that at the end of the day, Florida State would then find their way in as that 11 seed, as that last Power 5 team. And there's no shot that Boise State, even if they were undefeated, gets ranked higher than 12. It's just not going to happen.
I'm looking at your list again here.
Actually, they can't go undefeated because that would imply that they beat Oregon.
Yeah, I think Boise State can sweep the Pac-2. I think they're good enough to beat Oregon State and Washington State, and they have 1 loss going in for the G5. I don't care if Liberty has 0 losses. If Liberty goes in over Boise State,
they're not playing anybody.
The committee couldn't do that to Boise State, and this is still projected. Boise State could go out and lay an egg, and we could look like a bunch of assholes. But right now, it looks like they should be the G5 coming out. You don't have Clemson on your list.
Yeah, why would I put Clemson in there?
Because Clemson gets the job done. You have Tennessee. I would not have Tennessee.
I don't understand this. You throw Clemson this whole offseason, but for some reason you're out on.
That's a bit aggressive. I don't think I. That's a bit aggressive.
Put the board there for a second. Yeah, don't lower me mid-show. By the way, that's going to make editing.
I took you down a half notch.
Why are you so against Tennessee, man? Tennessee has a very underrated defense. They've got a lot of really strong offensive weapons. They've got a really good offensive line. They are one of these SEC teams that I think ultimately benefits from the fact that if they don't play in the SEC championship game and they go 10-2, they pop right into the playoff. They just land right in. I'd rather have them over. How many SEC teams did you have?
I think I had 4 SEC teams. I had Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss.
You don't, so no LSU, and you think Alabama, that would imply that Alabama beats LSU probably at LSU.
That's the implication I'm making. I think DeBoer is going to fight like hell to not be the guy that couldn't fill the shoes of Saban, which is an impossible job that nobody can do. It's a terrible place to be, as well as a good place to be. But everything with Alabama football seems impossible until they do it. And that means putting up 4 first-round draft picks on the defensive line. It means crazy miracle wins. It means becoming a dynasty in modern college football. They just do it. I think that they could leave the year with 2 losses, make it in because they're Alabama and they have the players.
All right, so to now share our projection on how we think it's going to play out. I think that after the first round, Ole Miss versus LSU, Ole Miss wins that game. Notre Dame beats Boise State. Oregon beats Tennessee. And then Texas beats Florida State. No upsets in the first round. Second round, mostly no upsets. Ole Miss loses to Georgia. Notre Dame beats Utah by a hair. Ohio State knocks off Oregon. And what would probably be... Man, that's going to be really weird because that would imply them beating Oregon 3 times in one season potentially. Or maybe 2 times in one season, which is, I mapped it. When I wrote that down and I was thinking to myself, would they deliberately put Oregon on a different part of the bracket? This is what I was talking about when we led this in.
Yeah.
There are random small details on the decision-making that I think haven't been effectively communicated, that there is going to be a deliberate decision to avoid multiple rematches. So I kind of said F it in this situation. So if they play them again, give me Ohio State winning that one. And then I think Texas can upset Miami. In the semifinal, Ohio State beats Texas. Georgia stomps out Notre Dame. That would probably be typical Notre Dame fashion, getting their asses whooped in a game that would be completely overhyped for them. And then Georgia goes on to win the national title over number 2 Ohio State.
Okay. I like how your national championship ended out. I think it's chalk, but those two teams
complicated this year at all.
Keep it easy, keep it simple with the national championship. Everything in the first round, have fun, and that's what I tried to do. I had Boise State, Texas. Texas wins that. Ole Miss at Clemson. Clemson wins. Dabo outcoaches Kiffin. Notre Dame at Oregon. Oregon wins that. Michigan and Alabama. Alabama wins. That might be a good game. I'd be excited for that. Second round, I had Texas beating Utah. Georgia beating Clemson. Oregon beating.
You had Oregon. Wait, what was Notre Dame's seed? Sorry, I got distracted.
11.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
Second round, I had Texas beating Utah, Georgia beating Clemson, Oregon beating Miami, and Ohio State beating Alabama. Georgia then in the third round beats Texas. Ohio State beats Oregon, and then I have Ohio State winning it all in the national championship. So if it's going to be I think that game's going to be a coin flip. If we do get it right now on paper, those two teams are they're so close to each other in, like, if we were going to give it letter grade, it's like a 99A for Georgia or a 98.5A for Ohio State. And then it just comes down to playing football. Mm-hmm. And I think Ohio State having that running back room with 2 elite running backs in college football helps them out in the playoffs tremendously, because that's still going to be a stretch. Extra playoff football you're going to be playing, hard football. Having 2 good running backs back there takes a lot of the weight off some of the other guys that you need to step up.
I think with the rest of this playoff field and how it's going to play out, like, it's up for anyone's interpretation. I don't think there's any right answer. The only thing I just really push back on, I think that you're talking about how good that running back room is, but if there's a team that's built to stop that run game, it's going to be Georgia. Up the middle, they've got a really young group of sophomores and already Michael Williams, who's coming back. I think it's going to be really difficult to run against them. That linebacker room is also very, very stout. This is a team that is going to do really well against the Big Ten and is going to do really well in the playoff. But if they struggle to run the football, I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry, Ohio State fans, I don't know, and I do know. I don't think that Will Howard is the type of quarterback that is going to step up to the plate and say, all right, we can't run the ball right now. I'm going to be able to open things up. We're going to attack them through the air, and we're going to make big plays. I know Carson Beck can do that. I know Carson Beck that if there starts to be some trouble where that Ohio State defensive line is as physical and as dominant as it is, and they can't get Trevor Etienne going, that they can start running play action. They can start picking up some big splash plays after the catch, that he's going to be able to dime up that Ohio State defense. Not for a crazy stat line.
I don't know if they're dime upable, though. I don't know
enough
if they
for them
are.
to put points on the board. I do you really have the confidence in Will Howard to be that guy in this game? Step up to the plate. They're struggling. They're only getting 2 yards per carry. Maybe they get a couple big runs here or there. But if he has to put the team on his back, 3rd and 7, get the first down, do you think that he can do that more than once?
No, but I think that there's enough players on Ohio State that have that capability. I think Caleb Downs could house one for 6 and get the team back in it. I think Denzel Burke could do it. I think the nasty offensive line that they have could keep pressure off of Howard. I think that Jack Sawyer, that maniac in the middle, can help lead that defense, keep them calm or overly energized and get them rallied. This Ohio State team is starting to really grow on me the closer we get to it. Maybe it's because I start feeling it more as a reality that they could win it. And maybe I'm only this high because Michigan is not as high this year. We're this high on Ohio State. If Michigan was beating them and they still had to worry about beating Michigan at the end of the year, which I've already kind of written off as an Ohio State win, maybe I'd be more nervous about them. But I think they're kind of the class of the Big Ten this year.
Hate your pick. Absolutely hate your pick.
That's fine.
Any final thoughts before we move on to NFL picks here?
I mean, it's so hard doing a preseason expectation. I mean, I wish the Big 12 was stronger. That's I guess a closing thought I had.
They're gonna really take a huge dump on the Big 12. I think with these seedings, I really think it would require.
I think it's only one from the Big 12.
It would. There's just too much parity in the sense, which is a good thing. You know, we're gonna have a lot more competitive, fun, entertaining games. But the inverse of this is they're gonna eat each other up. They're going to pick each other off, which we saw last year outside of Texas. We saw games where Oklahoma State laid an egg against UCF. We saw games where Kansas knocked off Oklahoma, which Oklahoma is now in the SEC, obviously. But there is more capability than any other conference for team number 9 or 8 to knock off team number 2 or 3. So if we have a situation where, which is very plausible, a 9-3 Utah to beat a 10-2 Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game, they're not going to send that Kansas State team that loses the Big 12 championship game because it's going to be really hard for them to have enough ranked sellable wins. And I think the committee just naturally, for whatever reason, is not the biggest fan of the Big 12.
Yeah, there would have to be an uber dynamic quarterback in the Big 12 somewhere on a team that really made them a threat. And they don't have, the Big 12 just does not have that team yet that could be a second participant in the CFP outside of the winner. I like that they're still including the winner. I think Utah is going to kind of clean the slate in the Big 12, just primarily because they don't play traditional Big 12 football as we've seen it late. They play defense. They hit hard. And then they make noise on the field. I love it. But anybody else in that conference, I think, is just kind of swimming around this year.
All right, let's move on to the NFL. We're going to share now our NFC, AFC championship picks, and then we're going to give a Super Bowl betting pick. This isn't just like a straight up who we think is going to win. This is more so who would we put money down on and who do we think is going to would be worth placing a future bet on. It's just some of the top odds on Bet Online. Let's start with the NFC. 49ers at plus 260, Detroit Lions plus 550, Philadelphia Eagles plus 600, Green Bay Packers plus 700, Cowboys plus 1,000, Falcons plus 1,200, and then Rams plus 1,600. My favorite pick for the NFC, and this is one I've been dishing out a ton, Man, I'm really in on the Packers. I am really in on Jordan Love. I've been in on Jordan Love since he was drafted. I thought that he was unjustifiably criticized for some of his early struggles. And then last year, we started to see that ascension. He is one of these guys that has the traits to take risks, and now he knows how to win in those risky decisions that he makes on the field. But more importantly, offensively, that receiving core, there's no premier guys. But it is, as we like to say, in a roster building standpoint, it's like a basketball team the way that they built this receiver room. You've got Christian Watson, who is your stretch the field guy. You've got Jaden Reed, who's a yak shifty player who also can take the top off. Romeo Doubs is fantastic in contested situations. That offense is only going to be better now that they added Josh Jacobs, and the offensive line is improving when they drafted Jordan Morgan. I think that their defense as well has been pretty stout, and they were aggressive in solidifying some of the position groups during free agency. At the end of the day, man, I think that this Packers team is far too low. Plus 700, man. Plus 700. I think that they could go on and make the Super Bowl and that they're going to win the NFC.
It's not my pick for me for the NFC. I think Green Bay has another year at this level. And last season, spectacular, slept on Green Bay Packers team that had go back and watch that Dallas Green Bay playoff game. It's just fantastic. But that's what they were last year, and I think that's what they're going to be this year. They don't win the NFC, in my opinion. They're not there yet. Detroit is there yet at plus 550. I love that. I love what Detroit did. It's really hard to knock San Francisco. I don't feel it in my gut that Brock Purdy is going to be the guy that he has been this year. Philly's interesting, opening up Saquon and a new offense, getting him out of that disaster in New York, and then pairing him with Jalen Hurts. That's fun at plus 600. I think the Philly play is the safest because Detroit's going to do some dumb Detroit shit somewhere down the stretch. I think Philly plus 600 is the best play that we have.
You made it too hot in here. My ass is starting to stick to this goddamn chair. Wearing a sweatshirt. Leave the apartment for once. Why? How are you cold? You're so much bigger than me.
You're just draining the AC in the building. Just drain it. It's all going right.
Building.
It goes right to the living room. I walk out of the living room. It's frigid.
Well, it's not frigid in this room.
It's doing okay.
Two.
What happened? You got a little sweat behind your thigh, and now you get a little upset, a little cranky?
A little. I'm always cranky. You don't understand how much heat you bring into this goddamn room. You might not be hot, but you're making the damn room hot.
I'm doing good over here on my end. No sweat. My thighs are dry. I'm doing good.
I hate the Lions pick. I really think
I made an
Lions...
Eagles pick.
You went with the Eagles?
Yes, I'm going with the Eagles,
okay.
which I
you
hate. You
confused the shit out of me the way that you set that up.
Because the Lions...
Learn to set up a take.
You picked the Packers. The Packers aren't going to go to the Super Bowl this year. Think about how that sounds in your head. They're not.
They're going to. And, the Eagles, man, I know that they got there 2 years ago, but Kellen Moore running this offense just feels so weird to me. It just does not feel like a good mix for Jalen Hurts. Are they going to try to get him to run the concepts that he ran with Justin Herbert and with Dak Prescott? That is not a fit. And is he the type of guy who has... I'm trying to think how I want to describe this. Is he going to be able to mold his offensive decision-making to fit the way that Jalen Hurts can be successful? I don't know, man. I really have no. I think Shane Steichen is the only one who really knew how to cook him up and set him up to succeed the best. I'm not in on this. I really think that maybe I'm a little salty because of the Saquon thing and that he left. They're going to be great and they're going to be really good, but they just start to feel like one of these teams that is slowly going to be falling short on a consistent basis. And the last part of this, I feel like defensively, yes, they geared up on defense. I think their defensive line's a little bit overrated. Their pass rush is very weak after they moved on from Hassan Reddick.
I know their linebackers are great, though, and their cornerbacks are great. I just like Philly seeing plus 600 by Philly. I like that better than seeing plus 550 with Detroit because Jared Goff just scares me. And he is the baseline. You have a good quarterback if your quarterback's better than Jared Goff. You have a bad quarterback if your quarterback's worse than Jared Goff. He's that guy in the league, and that guy always shifts. He hasn't always been that guy, but he is right now. And the Lions are great, and I like hearing that Jameson Williams is primed for a great season. I think kind of you have to say that with a
delete with the FanDuel off of his phone. That's just gotta...
you take a high pick on that guy. You want to keep the fans invested in him, even if it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. The value on Philly beating everybody and getting the Super Bowl. they feel more like a Super Bowl team than anyone in the NFC North. And the NFC North will be putting out better football and more fun football to watch. And San Fran at plus 260, don't love it. I just don't love it. Purdy eventually is going to get figured out. Like, he's just going to get solved. And I know they have an awesome team and not a lot of guys that you couldn't root for on San Fran. A lot of guys that you like. Christian McCaffrey's great. Debo rules. Kittle rules. Trent Williams is awesome. Their defense is great. Philly has the best value.
Brock Purdy any day.
Oh yeah, and I'm rooting for Purdy, but I think he gets figured out. It's eventually mediocre to good quarterbacks get solved, and he's due to get solved.
Yeah, he's starting to get solved, and I know that a lot of people want to get pissed at me the way that I've continuously degraded him, but I don't care. AFC, as we move on here, we got Kansas City Chiefs at plus 325. Huge shocker there. I'm surprised that the 49ers have better odds than.
NFC's weaker.
Yeah. Ravens plus 550. Bills plus 650. Bengals plus 800. Texans plus 800. Jets plus 1,000. Dolphins plus 1,200. Chargers plus 2,200, which is an interesting one. And then Browns plus 2,200. Obviously, you can go with the Chiefs because the odds are good enough that you place that future bet. You're going to get a pretty good payout. But I really like what the Bengals did this offseason. I really think that you still have T. Higgins before you have to figure out how to handle that divorce. They're not dealing with the Brandon Ayuk situation where he's causing a commotion in the locker room and demanding a trade and all that stuff. I think he's understanding of like, all right, let's see what we can do this year and then let's move on. That receiver room is very, very good. I think that Jermaine Burton is going to be an underrated rookie addition for them that can be stretch the field over the middle type of a player because he's got that type of speed, assuming he isn't as hot-headed as he can be at times. Their offensive line gets a lot better as they bring in Amarius Mims. I think he is talented and athletic enough to step right in and immediately dominate, as we saw him do that at Georgia. And more importantly, they boosted their tight end room and they were aggressive in bolstering their defensive line through the draft. They had the best draft, in my opinion. I really loved what they did in this year's 2024 draft. They have everything to get back to the Super Bowl. They have managed to, despite after paying Joe Burrow, to be able to position themselves to get back in there. So plus 800, I think that is tremendous, tremendous odds to get that pick there.
Not going to take it. No,
okay, of course.
It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen for Baltimore. Stay away from the Buffalo Bills this year if you're placing your money on them. They could be a circus-level disaster. The Chiefs.
Really? You're that low on them?
The Kansas City Chiefs is the only real play. Well, no. The Kansas City Chiefs is the best play, plus 325 right now. You're going to be happy seeing them go to the Super Bowl again when you triple your money. That's going to be nice to see. If you want even more value, though, Houston's the play. CJ Stroud leading that team is the play.
They still have so many roster holes. It is the easy
care.
just momentum pick of like, oh, this was fun.
It's a good momentum pick. It is. They have momentum. I'm not going to knock that. You can't. It is. They have tangible momentum.
You just shit on my Packers pick, and you're going to go with
my pick is I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. That's the only pick in the AFC. They're the cream of the crop in the AFC. Stay away from the Jets. The Bengals take every September off, and then they start taking off a week in October also. I am not touching the Bengals, and I hope that Joe Burrow can beat the Chiefs. I hope that we actually get to start seeing some more parity in the AFC. It's not going to happen, though. It can't happen because Mahomes and Reed, that connection is too good. And it's also too good because the Bills are helping the Chiefs get better in the draft. Let's just give the Chiefs Xavier Worthy. That's great. We're Buffalo. We were there, and now we're giving it away. We're just shipping off our wins for the season.
They weren't going to take Xavier Worthy.
It doesn't matter. They're helping him.
No one else was
buddy. Everyone's getting too buddy with the Chiefs. I don't like it.
It's a weird conspiracy theory.
And if you're sitting here thinking about Miami, they're never going to do anything.
No,
they are not built for it.
Chiefs talking Super Bowl betting odds right now. Chiefs plus 475, 49ers plus 600, Ravens plus 1,000, Lions plus 1,100, Eagles plus 1,200, and then Bills plus 1,400. I mean, the pick doesn't necessarily need to go with what the matchup that we just pushed out here because just had Packers versus Bengals as my potential Super Bowl matchup. I mean, yes, the easy pick is obviously throw money down on the Chiefs.
It's the pick. That's the pick. That's the only pick we should be taking for the Super Bowl.
But at the same time, how often do these teams just continuously keep going back to back to back to back to back? It is. They obviously improved this offseason, which is what makes it scary. But every other team has a bullseye marked on the Chiefs in order for them. They know what they need to do to get better, and it's to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They have to position themselves and build a roster to beat the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Bengals here, man. I really think that this is going to be a year where Joe Burrow, who had already gotten there with a lesser roster, a younger roster, a defensive line that's potentially not as good as what this one could be this upcoming season. I love the fact that the odds here for them are, what is it? I freaking at plus 1,600.
That's a good look. The only way the Chiefs don't win it is if the Bengals and Joe Burrow knock them out in the AFC Championship game. That's the only way it works. I still think that is a terribly unlikely, but I don't see Buffalo knocking them out. I don't see Baltimore and Lamar grinding them down in a playoff game. I think that the Ravens, as of late, have gotten to the playoffs and forgot who they are, where they have all the talent. They have one of the best players in football, and they just don't know how to win that big playoff game yet. Houston, still scary. They're not the Super Bowl champ, though. If you're still getting plus money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, take it. It is a smart bet in sports. They are the best football team. San Francisco, if the game is down to the wire in the last 4 minutes...
49ers aren't going back.
The 49ers are not going to be able to march down and score one on the Chiefs and hold them off because Mahomes is going to be able to do it. It would have to be another AFC team. The Super Bowl is going through the AFC again. If it's not the Chiefs, it's the Bengals. I don't hate your pick here because it is more of a long shot on the odds.
All right, wrapping today's show. Sean and I got into a huge argument the other day, and I think that it needs to be resolved by getting the opinions of our listeners. So we moved in together. His dumbass is sitting right next to me for anybody who can't tell by the framing, which you actually probably couldn't tell if we didn't point that out.
Yeah.
I, for the past 3 years, was living on my own. Sean had 3 roommates.
Yep, 3 years, 3 roommates.
I am obviously aware of the fact that for the first 3 weeks of us, this arrangement of living together in this apartment, probably haven't been the greatest roommate because I'm used to living on my own, not needing to worry about if I'm being too loud, if I'm being an ass and hogging the kitchen. I feel like I've been relatively reasonable.
You've been doing fine. You've been doing good.
Okay. Maybe where would you rank me on the power minus what we're about to argue about? Where would you rank me compared to your last roommate situation?
Civility, you still clear all of them. Sam was a pretty good roommate because he helped do a lot of the heavy lifting within the house. But for just general civility, you're definitely up there. You're better than you were in college. I think probably more even tempered. Shockingly, I thought it was going to be the other way around.
You thought I was going to be?
I thought you were going to be
piss fit every day.
Yeah. Which we get one every day. It's fun to hear you just a huge curse word right in the middle of the day for some reason, like you banging your head or dropping a fork. But other than that, you've been. I'd say you have a good grade from me on the roommate scale. Okay,
so the debate that we're talking about here. Anyone who's lived with somebody knows that one of the biggest tension points is the laundry machine. Because it is something that is needed by everybody in the apartment, and it is something that is always poorly organized. We lived together previously in college, and in college it was less of a big deal because everybody had less shit going on. But there'd always be someone who left stuff in the dryer. There'd always be someone who you put your bin on top of the laundry, and then suddenly there's a load going on when you left to go into your room, and people get mad at each other because somebody sniped the laundry machine.
Sure.
From you. I think as you start to get older, that goes down a little bit. I pitched this as somebody who hadn't had a roommate, who thought that this was a perfectly normal thing to avoid any arguments. I said that on odd days, it would be my day, and on even days, it would be Sean's day.
Sure.
Sean already violated this once and claimed that he was odd days, and that I was even days. I conceded. I said, fine, you know what? I will allow you to take this. But the whole point is that a day by day, it's somebody's day to do laundry. They get the whole day to do the laundry. And then that way, there's no arguing of somebody hogging the machine, leaving their shit in the machine. It adds a sense of urgency of, hey, I need to take my stuff out. It's not my day anymore.
It's my day. I can plan around it. Okay. I do laundry that day. You do laundry this day. It's a really good system. It's a fine and fair system.
So on Friday, it was my day, and it was 4 o'clock. I hadn't gotten around to doing laundry. No, it was 2:30. Forget what it was. I hadn't gotten around to do laundry. Sean shoves his stuff in the machine, and I call him out. And I said, hey, man, I was about to do my laundry. You blow up on me, and you start telling me, oh, you just forgot, and I reminded you.
It was reactionary.
It was obviously
I'll let you continue.
Obviously reactionary, but you started berating me and saying that, I want to make amendments. I want to change this. I presented a completely civil and normal roommate agreement that would remove arguments, and you started arguing with me by saying, F that dumb rule, I'm just going to do whatever I want.
I hijacked the machine. I did. That's true. And you know why? Because I didn't hear any laundry going the whole day until you heard me pop some clothes in there.
It doesn't matter, though. It's my day.
I needed to pop a quick load. I needed to pop a quick load, and I hijacked the machine. And I understand that's a violation of that is a violation. And I will wear that violation. But where you lose me is, I've been doing laundry all day, and now that Sean opens the door up, I'm going to start thinking about laundry now.
Obviously is. It reminded me. The biggest...
You shouldn't need a reminder if it's your day.
The worst part about this... God, I am clipping the shit out of that thing. The worst part about this is that you had back-to-back days. You had the 31st of July and the 1st of August to do your laundry. I had a build-up. I didn't do my laundry because I thought to myself, it's not my day. I'm going to wait.
If you had such a build-up, why didn't you throw something in at 9 a.m.? You're an early bird. You get active during the day.
It doesn't matter.
It's not much to get around to.
It's a work day.
It's
unit. Not the priority on the work
unit. You could just toss it right in there. That's all it is. It's right there. You don't need to go down to the laundromat. You don't have to sit anywhere. You can do exactly what you're doing. It would have taken you literally a minute to walk in there, grab a pile, throw it in. And you forgot, and I reminded you because I'm cognizant of when I have dirty clothes, and you forget. And you've been living in squalor, unpacked squalor, not filth, but squalor lately. And I guess you got a little overwhelmed, which that's fine. That's fair.
Don't give me this shit. I was overwhelmed. Dude, come on. Okay. That part of it shouldn't matter, though. It shouldn't matter that if I get distracted and I start working on other things. It's my entire day to dick around and do it whenever I feel like I want to do it. And when I remember to do it.
Yeah, but it was getting close to game time. And we had to be out in 3 hours. And I said, all right, I'll get a quick load in. I need a 1-popper load. Quick. I need some pants. I need some underwear, some socks, maybe a shirt. Toss that right in. Bada bing, bada boom. Laundry done.
2 days to do that, though. I think
my britches weren't dirty 2 days ago.
I think what is the biggest crime of this situation is the fact that you forgot for 2 days. And it took you getting to the end of the week.
I did forget my day.
Not having enough shit.
I did forget my day.
You're the one who really actually forgot, and then you're just trying to pin it on me.
That's fine. Yeah, I forgot, but I saw
gaslighter. Gaslighter of the goddamn year.
I saw a completely open machine that was dry as a bone. I hadn't heard any of it ripping. I hadn't heard anything getting clean. And you just been in here typing.
It
click,
doesn't.
clack,
it doesn't
clack, working. You're working.
It doesn't matter.
You're doing the work. You're doing whatever you got to do. But
if I was sitting here
that's
playing
not
with
in
myself,
use,
if I was sitting here playing with myself,
let me walk into that. That'd be a scene.
It's gonna happen. By the way, I have to say that has to be one of the biggest adjustments of having a roommate, because I'm just used to.
You were used to full blasting it.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, like, how many times of me living on my own and I'm not even paying attention, I realize, like, my hands in my pants. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, like, whatever. I live alone. Nobody's gonna bother me. But I just naturally end up doing it, and I'm sitting in here and you're in your bedroom. I have to quickly stop myself and say, hey man, there's a grown man that's not that far away from you.
I'm glad you're not sitting here jacking while I'm present.
I wasn't
That's
gonna
nice.
do that.
That's good to hear.
I wasn't gonna be doing that.
I'm just saying my whole I'll say back to the laundry thing. I will wear that I had double violation that day. I did. But it's no excuse that you forgot, and this is somebody's. I didn't want to play with that toy until I saw someone else playing with it, which is the most barnyard, frustrating childhood tactic.
It doesn't matter. It was my fucking day. That doesn't matter.
Then why didn't you do it? And why did you do it? My amendment was if you don't do a laundry load before noon, then you don't get your day is revoked, and then it should be open season.
No. The real amendment here that causes way more problems. I
think an open season past noon amendment is fine.
Okay, here's the theoretical that I pitched you. You had to go into the city. Say one of us has to go somewhere for the whole day until 2:00.
Yeah,
and then they can't do their laundry. And then the next day,
if they're gone the whole day and you need laundry, do it while they're gone.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not what I just said. Say I leave for the whole day.
Yeah.
And then I get back at 2:30, and it's my day to do laundry. and then you put a load in right when I get back, and then now I can't do laundry until 2 days later.
I wouldn't, and
I would need to
that's
hope
still your
to
agreement. Coming
I
back.
would need to hope to snipe from you. Look, this is you're overly complicating it. The simple amendment is that if you needed to get laundry done,
Yeah.
and say I happen to forget and I happen to not get around with it, I am not an immature child that saw somebody playing with the toy that I forgot that
That's
I
exactly
wanted to
what
play
it was.
with. It wasn't that. All you have to do is say, hey, I need to wash this. Can I use it? And I might have said yes.
You would have said no, and you may have done one load like 20 minutes later. That's what would have happened. Because you
if
didn't do a load. I gave you 2 hours after.
If I do that, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be touching your desk. I'm starting to get really aggressive with pointing at you. If I do that, it doesn't matter.
It shouldn't
because
matter.
It's my day.
I agree. It should be your day. And I have said I've owned up to my violations. But I also think in a common sense world, speaking in front of a jury, if it's your day and you haven't done dick of laundry all day and it's just sitting there.
In front of a jury would not agree with
I
you.
think jury would side with me. If I had a smart jury that understands that, sometimes some stuff has to get cleaned and the laundry machine is wide open.
Okay.
Regardless of day. Yeah.
Here's a simple one for you.
Go ahead.
Parking signs that say no parking at all Monday through Friday. You park there on Friday. You're like, nobody's parked here. Your car gets towed. You show up and you say, well, nobody was parked there. Well, it says Monday through Friday you can't park there. Well, that shouldn't matter. Nobody was parked there. That's not how it works. Rules that are set up can't just be fluid. They can't just be fluid.
Look, I added some fluidity to the rule by hijacking the machine. And like I said, and I know we're just going in circles in this point.
Can you at least agree to what I have pitched here?
Yeah, I agree with the day system.
But there's no 2 o'clock bullshit.
You better get some laundry done. You better get some
The 2
done.
o'clock thing is not happening.
Well,
If
that
you
was
need
an
to do
in-game
laundry
high pressure amendment that had to get thrown out there. But if I had
You were
asked
just
you a
trying to
question,
save you were
you
trying
would
to
have said,
gaslight like you always fucking do.
"Look, it was a little gaslighty. I'm not above saying that I
little.
did some gaslighting,
Little.
but I got some clean clothes out of it, and I was happy. I was grateful to have them before they got drenched. That was a smart play, Anderson.
I'm gonna dump your clothes in your bathtub next time if you do that again.
That's fine. If it's on your day and you needed to do laundry, you are well within your right to yank my clothes out of there if you have a load to do. If you have a load, you can't just go yanking my clothes out if it's my day or if it's your day and I got a thing going.
If
but if you need to lose,
you would have lost your mind.
priority laundry should be the number one. If it's your day and you have laundry to do, that is the system. Then you have no holds barred. This is my
Then
laundry.
why didn't you stop your load when I told you I had to do load on? Okay, we're done here.
Because I had priority laundry there. You obviously did not have high priority laundry if you weren't doing it.
At DeLeone at Sanderson Radio, hit the subscribe button. I'm living with a monster. I'll talk to you later.